is jou goed voel ontbytprogram is net na was net na 8, so daar's nog 'n uur oor van jou goed voel ontbytprogram, and of course it's time for us to talk about relationships. We have Dr. Eve in studio.
Exactly. Now, disagreements may be tough, and solving one in your relationship may prove to be a test. How should we handle them, and should we ever avoid a disagreement? Our relationship expert, Dr. Eve, is in the house to unpack this conversation with us. You can give us a call on 083 913 3728 with your question or your comment. But first, we went to the streets to find out whether you think disagreements help or harm a relationship.
They can harm a relationship if no one is willing to compromise. Okay. No one is willing to say, let's agree to disagree. They can help you if you understand where the other person is coming from, understand why they are disagreeing with you. It can help you grow, become a better person.
I believe disagreements actually helps a lot, because at the end of the day, it helps me be stronger and understand the next person, because obviously it can't be about yourself.
Disagreements can harm if you don't handle it properly, but you can't avoid disagreements. So I think it's necessary so that you can get onto the same page.
I think disagreements is very important in a relationship because it helps both parties understand each other better and helps the relationship grow from one sphere to the next.
I think disagreements help. I think it's very important to have disagreements. Sometimes it's very bad, sometimes it's very good, but there needs to be a moderation of honesty. There has to be, if you're unhappy about something, you should be able to say it.
Wow, some interesting comments on the streets. But once again, we are joined with our relationship expert, Dr. Eve, in the house. How are you? Looking absolutely beautiful this morning.
Thank you.
So statement. Talking about statements,
yes.
A lot of interesting ones
yes.
were made with
yes.
regards to relationships. Are they good? Are they bad for a relationship? What's your take?
You know, the biggest concern that I have is when a couple comes in to my therapy room and they'll say, we never have conflict, we never have disagreement around anything.
Yeah.
Then I think, okay, I have a lot of work to do over here. You cannot expect two people to get into any form of engagement or relationship and not have differences. Yeah. And if you're trying to squash those differences, you're not going to be able to sustain it. And that's when there's going to be a huge amount of depression, anger, resentment, acting out, cheating. So what you want to do is to be able to manage. What we're talking about today is how do we manage the differences that do occur. So you've got two kinds of disagreements that happen in any form of relationship. And you should know this before you hook up and get into something which is called commitment. You're going to have things which are called resolvable, and you're going to have things which are called unresolvable. Exactly. So the resolvable ones will be like, you really drive too fast. Or I think you're never on time, you're always going to be late, you're always late, those things really irritate me. Those are kind of concrete things that you can really work around if you have the skills and the tools to be able to do that. The ones that are unresolvable may be big things like, I want children, I don't want children. Interfaith, intercultural relationships. Then we're looking at, well, how are we going to raise our child? What kind of religion are we going to raise our child in? What schools are we going to send our children to? Where are we going to be living? What do we do with family situations? Can my mother move in with me? Do we agree to have parents living in our environment? Those are like really difficult situations, and couples struggle with that. Yeah. And there are real smartness, your real smartness comes in when you actually consider as a couple, you can say, you know what, these are unresolvable. Yeah. These are so big that we're going to agree that we cannot resolve them. Sure. And we're going to learn how are we going to live with them so that they do not cause conflict between the two of us. Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of separates the healthy marriages from the marriages that are going to be toxic and unhealthy all the time.
Interesting. Yeah.
So disagreements are healthy. We want to be able to have them. The trick is, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it, how do we manage to live with disagreements so that it doesn't disrupt us entirely?
Yes.
Absolutely.
You mentioned, the trick is how do we live with them. When it comes to honesty, how honest do you have to be during that disagreement, something in particular?
Well, I thought you were going to say, Zoe, how honest you have to be in the beginning. Because, a lot of people get into relationships and make these promises. And maybe at the time they even believe it, like, oh yeah, I'm cool with not having any children. Yeah. And then we change. Life changes. It's like, I really want to have a child. But That isn't what we signed up for.
Yeah.
So how do we then do it? So I don't think, that's even being dishonest. Of course, some people may be dishonest. Like, yeah, I promise I'm on contraception and I'm not going to fall pregnant. And then, you kind of do that. How honest do you have to be with disagreements? You have to be really honest.
Yeah,
They fester. As I said, they become very toxic, and that relationship is going to become very tense, very conflictual. And where it also impacts is on intimacy in the bedroom. A lot of people then present to me in a therapy room saying, we're just not interested in being sexual, or we've got no more intimacy left in our relationship. And you'll find when you unpack that, it's because they haven't learned how to work out their disagreements really well with each other yet.
Okay, well, we are definitely going to continue this topic. I'm very glad we're talking about it because I think a lot of people have maybe questions or advice about how to handle disagreements in a relationship. If so, you can call us with your question or your comment on 083 913 3728. This is a safe space. Dr. Eve is here. But before we continue this conversation, let's head over to the kitchen with Kat.